How are you guys doing today? I hope that you're having a great day. I hope that the sun is shining and that you can go outside and play. But if you can't go outside and you need something to do, I have a really fun story to share with you called The Story of Ferdinand. And then we're gonna make this really fun art project that's kind of funny and silly because I don't know if you know, but the story of Ferdinand is kind of fun and funny and silly. So this is one of my favorite stories. And I used to read it to my kids when they were little all the time, and they loved it so much that I think they tried to chew the book. Who knows? Little kids are funny that way. All right, the story of Ferdinand. Once upon a time in Spain, there was a little bull, and his name was Ferdinand. He's so cute. All the other little bulls he lived with would run and jump and butt their heads together. Not Ferdinand. He liked to sit just quietly and smell the flowers. He had a favorite spot out in the pasture under a cork tree. It was his favorite tree, and he would sit in its shade all day and smell the flowers. Do you guys have a cork tree? Probably not. Sometimes his mother, who was a cow, would worry about him. She was afraid he would be lonesome all by himself. Why don't you run and play with the other little bulls and skip and butt your head, she would say. But Ferdinand would shake his head. I like it better here where I can just sit quietly and smell the flowers. His mother saw that he was not lonesome, and because she was an understanding mother, even though she was a cow, she let him just sit there and be happy. As the years went by, Ferdinand grew and grew until he was very big and strong. Now prepare yourself because he looks a little different from the little baby cow that we saw, calf. He is now a giant bull. And he has big horns. But don't worry, Ferdinand's nice. All the other bulls who had grown up with him in the same pasture would fight each other all day. They would butt each other and stick each other with their horns. What they wanted most of all was to be picked to fight at the bullfights in Madrid. But not Ferdinand. He liked to sit just quietly under the cork tree and smell the flowers. One day, 5 men came in very funny hats to pick the biggest, fastest, roughest bull to fight in the bullfights in Madrid. All the other bulls ran around snorting and butting, leaping and jumping so the men would think that they were very, very strong and fierce and pick them. Ferdinand knew that they wouldn't pick him, and he didn't care. So he went out to his favorite cork tree to sit down. He didn't look where he was sitting, and instead of sitting on the nice, cool grass in the shade, he sat on a bumblebee. Uh-oh. Well, if you were a bumblebee and a bull sat on you, what would you do? You would sting him, and that's just what this bee did to Ferdinand. Look at him. Wow, did it hurt. Ferdinand jumped up with a snort. He ran around puffing and snorting and butting and pawing the ground as if he were crazy. The 5 men saw him, and they all shouted with joy. Woohoo! Here was the largest and fiercest bull of all, just the one for the bullfights in Madrid. So they took him away for the bullfight day in a cart. What a day it was. Flags were flying, bands were playing. And all the lovely ladies had flowers in their hair. They had a parade into the bull ring. First came the bandoleros with long sharp pins with ribbons on them to stick in the bull and make him mad. Ooh, that does not sound good. Next came the picadors, who rode skinny horses and they had long spears to stick in the bull and make him madder. Make sure you don't stick any animals with sticks though, that's not good. Then came the matador, the proudest of all. He thought he was very handsome and bowed to the ladies. He had a red cape and a sword and was supposed to stick the bull last of all. Again though, we don't want to stick any animals of any sort at any time. Then came the bull, and you know who that was, don't you? Can you say it with me? Ferdinand. They called him Ferdinand the Fierce, and all the bandoleros were afraid of him, and the picadors were afraid of him, and the matador was scared stiff. Did you see his face? Look how scared he is. He's sweating. Ferdinand ran into the middle of the ring, and everyone shouted and clapped because they thought he was going to fight fiercely and butt and snort and stick his horns around. But not Ferdinand. When he got to the middle of the ring, he saw the flowers and all the lovely ladies' hair, and he just sat down quietly and smelled. Look at him sitting down there all by himself. He wouldn't fight and be fierce no matter what they did. He just sat and smelled. And the bandoleros were mad, and the picadors were madder, and the matador was so mad he cried because he couldn't show off with his cape and sword. He's a baby, wah wah. So they had to take Ferdinand home. And for all I know, he is sitting there still under his favorite cork tree, smelling the flowers just quietly. He is very happy. The end. There's our Ferdinand. Are you ready for a fun art project? Okay, so for your art project today, these are the supplies you're gonna need. You're gonna need a scratch paper. You're gonna need a pencil, okay? Then you will need a piece of paper from your art pad. You will need, if you have them, oil pastels. If you don't, crayons will work too, as long as they're not washable. And you will need your watercolors and some water. So, scratch paper and pencil first. Okay, so the first thing you need is your scratch paper, and we're gonna practice. Remember we talked about art starts with line and shape. So the first thing we're gonna practice is our line. Okay, so today's art project, we're gonna draw a picture of Ferdinand, and it's gonna be kind of funny and silly. But first I want you to practice some lines that we're gonna draw. Okay, so the first one I want you to practice is this line. Okay, see how it starts here, curves, goes straight down, and then curves out the opposite way. So practice that line, okay? The next line I want you to practice is one that goes up, down, and that, okay? That's our second line we're gonna practice. Okay, the next line, we're gonna use this line for the shape of his horns. Okay, see that line right there? Okay, and then we're gonna do one opposite over here, because bulls have how many horns? 2, okay? Another line we're gonna do is kind of a half circle line. We're gonna use that line in his eyeballs. All right, another line, this one's kind of fun. It's a little bit of a squiggly wavy line. We're gonna come up like this. And that's actually, we're gonna use that for part of his hair. Okay, this other line we're gonna use almost looks like a shape, but it's not quite because it doesn't connect, but it looks a little bit like a petal or a leaf. Can you guess what that's gonna be? His ear, okay? And then the last line we're gonna do is a straight one. Okay, so those are all the lines that we're gonna use today. Okay, now go ahead and flip your paper over because we're gonna practice some shapes. Okay, so you have your line. Now you don't wanna get rid of it, you wanna keep it because you're gonna need to use it. so you can see when we draw. Now, the next thing we're gonna talk about is shape. Remember, line and shape. So here comes our shapes. What shape do you think we're gonna do for his nostrils and his nose? We're gonna do ovals. An oval that sits in a horizontal position. Remember, we talked about that. This is horizontal, this is vertical. So we're gonna do an oval in the horizontal, but then we're also gonna do an oval going vertical. That's gonna be for his eye. And then we're gonna be doing a smaller circle that we color in like that. Okay, that's gonna be for the inside of his eye. Then for where his nostrils are, his nose, okay, we're gonna do 2 of those circles, and then we're gonna do this really interesting shape that would be considered organic, okay? You start here, you kind of dip down, dip up, and then we're gonna connect that. So see, there's not really a name for that shape. It's kind of, and everybody's will look different, and probably when I draw it on my paper, it'll look different than it does now. And then these are kind of fun. We're gonna do, these look like splashes almost. Okay, or you would go like this. And those are gonna be our flower shapes. Okay, so those are the shapes, and we did the lines. All right, now you're gonna wanna keep these papers next to you so that you can look at them when I teach you how to draw this. We call this a line by line drawing is what I like to call them, all right? So now what I need you to do, I'm gonna pause this and get resituated, but I want you to get a piece of paper from your art pad. Okay, that's this guy. Piece of paper from your art pad. You're gonna need your pencil. If you have an oil pastel, you're gonna wanna get your black oil pastel out. Okay, so it looks like this if you have oil pastel. If not, a black crayon, as long as it's not washable, okay, will work. So get those ready to go, and I'm gonna resituate myself so you can see. Okay, so everybody should have their paper, and we're gonna put our paper in the vertical position. Remember, this is horizontal, this is vertical. I have Noelle here, she's gonna do it with me. All right, so we talked about our lines. So if you have your line paper that you practiced on, now is the time to get that out. So the first lines we're gonna draw, okay? Well, actually, we're gonna do shapes. So if you have your shape paper, if you take your finger and point to the bottom part of your page, no, you can do that too, okay? We're gonna draw 2 ovals, 1, 2. Okay, now we're gonna draw our, remember our kind of funny shape. We're gonna start here. We're gonna draw a line. It's gonna dip down and then come up and then wrap around our 2 oval circles. Okay, and then at the bottom, we're gonna do just a little mouth like that from one side to the other. Okay, now we're gonna come up here towards the top part of our page, and we're gonna do that line that kind of swirled out and then tucks in right there. You're gonna connect it, okay? And then we're gonna do the same thing on the other side and connect it, okay? Then at the top here, we're gonna draw his ears, and that was kind of that leaf petal shape. And it's okay if you run out of space. I kind of ran out of space on that side, but that's okay. Yeah, that's fine. It's okay. And then do it on the other side, okay? Then at the 2 top corners of our page, so bulls usually have really big horns. Okay, we're gonna start on the right side and curve down like that. Okay, and then you come back up to a point. Now here, what's interesting with this shape, watch me do it first and then you do it. We start here, follow the same line, but we're gonna end quite a ways away, and that creates the horn. So there you go, yep. Now we're gonna do it on the other side, same thing. Okay, and then, so now he has 2 horns. Now we're gonna do our little kind of zigzag line, so it looks like that's his hair. And then we'll give him, do like 3 big ones in the middle so he has some hair sticking up there, okay? Now, what is he missing, Noe?
Eyes.
Eyes, okay. Now we're gonna do 2 big circles. Because remember, he got stung by a bee and he was like, ah! Okay, and then we're gonna add that half circle line, okay? And then we're gonna have him looking kind of down, okay? So we're gonna color in like this. And I'm gonna have him looking like he's looking down at that side of the paper. You can have him do whatever, his eyes. Yeah, okay. And then the last thing you're gonna do is just give him a little bit of a neck there at the bottom. Okay, and if you can squeeze in, depending on how much room you have, I want you to draw a couple of flower shapes. Okay. Okay. That looks awesome because Ferdinand likes to smell the flowers. Yeah. Okay, so Noe, you can use this oil pastel, the black one. Okay, so do you want to share with everybody what's something important about oil pastel? What does it do? Does it, if you
you smear it,
it smears, huh?
Like that. Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna start at the top of our page and work our way down because this part of our arm rubs on our paper. Okay, so the first thing I want you to do is we're gonna trace. So everybody should have an oil pastel. If you don't have an oil pastel, you have a black crayon. Okay, we're gonna start with the horns. We're not coloring anything in. We're gonna trace our pencil shapes. Okay, I'm gonna show you how to do that one, and then we're gonna go ahead and speed this part up. Okay. Okay, so you wanna make sure and get your paintbrush. We're gonna watercolor our Ferdinand the Bull, and the reason we use oil pastel is because it creates kind of a corral for our watercolor. Now we're gonna paint Ferdinand black, so we're gonna paint our flowers first because our water is gonna change color. So pick whatever color you want for your flowers. Remember, you just add a little water to your watercolors here, nice and gentle. And then you can come down here and paint your flowers. Okay, and you can paint them different colors if you want. Make sure you rinse it real well in between the colors. I'm gonna add a yellow center to here. I'm gonna do an orange flower over here. Remember, just to be real gentle when you're working the water into your watercolor. Got some orange. I might mix that a little bit and add some red to my orange. I'm gonna get kind of a multicolored. I'm gonna add a little. Whoops, and it's okay if it spreads in there. You just mix it around. All right, so there's that, and then I'm gonna do my stems here. Okay, and then since this is kind of grassy, I'm gonna go ahead and watercolor around my flowers just at the bottom here like this. And then that kind of gives the illusion that it's grass. Don't you think, Noe? Mm-hmm. What color did you do your flowers? Ooh, I love those flowers. Mm-hmm. See, Noe used a different green, and her flowers are, her grass is kind of staying right there in its little. And if you have multiple colors, you can mix the greens, okay? But I'm not putting any green here because that's part of Ferdinand, that's part of his neck. All right, then I'm going to do the sky first before I actually paint him, because once I paint him black, it's gonna turn my water black. So you're gonna paint right up to your Ferdinand, but you're not gonna paint him. If you add some water to your watercolor, it spreads it out. Do you remember when I used to redo the Ferdinand story, Noe? Mm-hmm. And I'd use all the voices, huh? Mm-hmm. And we're just gonna kind of go lightly around that. Maybe adding a little. Okay. Make sure you don't paint his hair or his horns, because remember a bull's horns are, what color are they, Noe?
Yellow.
Yellowish, kind of white, yeah. We're Make sure as you're painting your background, you don't accidentally paint any part of Ferdinand.
Oh, God. Come on.
Remember, be gentle with your watercolors. How's it going, Noe?
Good.
It's okay. Okay. We're gonna go ahead and pause there. All right, so you notice our water is getting darker, so that's why we've saved the last color. So, Noe, what color do you think we should paint Ferdinand's nose, did you say?
Like the light brown.
Light brown. So how would we paint that light brown? Would we add more water or more paint?
More water.
More water, right? Yeah, so we're gonna paint his nose, but I would leave his nostrils, the little oval circles, we're not gonna paint those. And then we're just gonna dip in our water and spread the paint around, and it creates a lighter brown. And then I would also paint his little lip down there too. Okay. And I might paint his ears brown too here, because they're usually a little bit lighter than the rest of them, don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then for his whole face and body, we're gonna do black. So we're gonna dip our paint in there, and I'm gonna start with his hair. But be careful you don't accidentally paint his horns, thinking they're part of him. I'm just gonna paint a line like that. I'm gonna work the paint down. And remember, to make our watercolor go further, we just add a little water and we bring that down. And your Ferdinand might be a little gray more than black, which is fine. And we just bring that water down, and that's how we kind of spread that around. Being real careful, we don't want to paint inside his eyes, because then it will look funny. Noe, what's your favorite part of the Ferdinand story?
When all the people vote for him not to get hurt.
Oh, when he sits down and smells the flowers,
Mm-hmm.
and he won't participate.
Yep. I'm also thinking of like the movie too.
Oh, the movie's a little different than the book, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've never seen the movie.
It's I think it kind of like ruined the story for me.
Oh, did it? Did they probably don't do the funny voices like I did when you were a kid, huh? There's your Ferdinand, smelling his flowers, sitting by his cork tree. Noe's gonna finish hers up, and then we'll show you our finished product. Hey, we're so glad you guys could join us today, and I hope you had fun. Here's our finished products of Ferdinand smelling the flowers. We had such a fun time painting with you today, and hopefully we can do it again. Did you have fun?
Yeah.
What was your favorite part?
Flowers.
The flowers. That's Ferdinand's favorite part. Okay, see you guys next time. Bye.